Welcome to another episode of Sub-Auteurs. Today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest films of the year and a sequel that was 27 years in the making. Whatever could it be? We're giving you subtle hints.
James Bond? No?
Oh, no, but you're close.
The Bourne Supremacy?
Almost there. One of them was in it.
One of them was in it. Maximum Extreme 2.
Maximum Extreme 2. That's right. Today we are looking at Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is the 7th movie in a series that has been running for 27 years.
Shut the front door.
I have a question. How old are you when the first one came out?
For 27 years now, Tom Cruise has been doing his own stunts.
Dodge the question.
Run the intro.
So, for real, how old were you?
What the hell year did the first one come out? Let's do the. I was in the 6th grade. Let's just go with that. I was in the 6th grade when the first one came out in 1996.
1996, yeah.
Damn.
You know how long ago this was? I still have the freaking pocketbook novelization because back then, movies had books that came with them.
Yeah, I have a pocketbook of Jumanji.
There, see?
Had a book.
Not a board game?
No, I was too afraid.
But yes, today we are talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which, if anyone's keeping score, this is the 7th Mission Impossible movie. We are the Sub-Auteurs, and we are your hosts. I'm Misha.
I'm Mai.
And I'm Anjo.
And today we will be discussing Mission Impossible, and this was actually Mai's first one.
No, it's not. I remember. Well, no, I don't remember. But
that she remembers.
Yes, exactly. The first one I remember because I was a wee child when the first two came out. Yes. I remember watching up until the second. And I do remember it wasn't spectacular to me.
No.
So it did not entice me to watch the rest of them.
We try not to talk about the second one.
Yes.
Okay.
But then we might have to bring it up today.
Yeah, maybe. We can go into that.
Maybe.
But before watching this film, I kind of realized that I was never a fan of action franchises revolving around just one male lead, because this is almost the same scenario as when we did the last James Bond movie. Because I had like no idea what was happening, and it was apparently the worst one to watch with absolutely no idea of what's going on.
To be fair, I wasn't a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise either.
Mm-hmm.
It was only until after Ghost Protocol when I kind of...
That was the 4th one?
Yep. Yes, the 4th one. When I started rewatching the first one, and then watching the second one, and then the third one. Then I came to appreciate the third one. Like it's probably my favorite from the franchise.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, again, I was in the 6th grade, and shut up.
We were wee children back then.
Wee children.
It was the 90s, you see. We were all Irish.
For some reason.
We were all wee leprechauns. No. Okay, so I was in the 6th grade, and Pierce Brosnan had only been James Bond for like a year at this point. So everyone was like on a whole spy high kind of thing. Everybody, and this was still the time when Hollywood was making big screen adaptations of 60s TV shows. Basically the same thing they do now with 80s shows and 80s cartoons.
Didn't they do that British spy show, The Avengers?
They did The Avengers.
Yeah. Uma Thurman.
That's the only good thing in that movie, Uma Thurman's catsuit. And then they also did The Saint with Val Kilmer.
I didn't know that was a 60s
It was.
spy.
It starred Roger Moore, who became the 3rd James Bond later on. What else? The Addams Family. That was a 60s show that became a big screen blockbuster. So back then, they were doing the nostalgia thing that we're doing now for the 80s and the 90s.
In the 90s.
Yeah. So, Mission Impossible started as a TV show in the 60s, and it's funny you should say that you don't like franchises that are primarily single male led.
Yeah.
And the irony is, the TV show was always about the team. It was never about a single guy. It was always about a team doing the most insane heists or break-ins or whatever. And Tom Cruise changed all of that. He turned it into an excuse to do crazier and crazier stunts.
But that was only after the third one.
No. That was like, even with the first one, when he blew up that aquarium and like 20,000 liters of water were flowing behind him.
Yeah, his first reiteration, or us seeing for the first time, the straight back running.
And straight back running. You can't have a Mission Impossible without straight back running.
You can't have a Tom Cruise movie without straight back running. I mean, we saw it in Top Gun Maverick. Right?
That was my favorite part of A Few Good Men, when he ran straight back ran into the court.
He's iconic for his running, to be honest. But I think I read somewhere that it's kind of effective because your core is tight and you're like, can run fast that way.
Is that why that bad Terminator ran that way? Because he's super efficient?
Yes, but then again, Tom Cruise has to be efficient because he's short.
So he always has to run because it takes him longer to get from point A to point B.
It's body mechanics.
Yeah.
So, I remember a lot of old school fans who grew up within the 60s were pissed off with that first movie because in the first movie, the entire team dies in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, they killed Coach Bombay.
They killed Emilio Estevez.
Coach Bombay.
They killed Coach Bombay. And the guy who led the team through the 60s and the revival in the 80s, and his name was Mr. Phelps, Jim Phelps. He was the leader of the team. They made him the bad guy in the first movie. That's why the original cast refused to have anything to do with the first movie. So they recast Jim Phelps with Angelina Jolie's dad, John Voight. And Tom Cruise kills him at the end of the movie, and he took over the franchise, basically.
Did he have that much clout back then?
Well, I guess he'd just come off the firm. He just, he got award notice for Rain Man.
There was a time in the 90s where it was like the Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt show.
Right.
Oh, I remember.
He had just done Interview with the Vampire.
Yes, Interview with the Vampire was such a big deal at the time because you had both Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in one movie, and a baby Kirsten Dunst.
And a young Antonio Banderas.
Yes.
And Christian Slater. Basically everybody in their prime.
Ooh, I should rewatch that. I loved that movie.
That whole movie is a thirst portion.
Why do you think I like it?
So, and my mom grew up watching that old show. She enjoyed it. And we've pretty much been watching these movies together over the last, 3 decades now. And so far, other than the second one, they've all been pretty solid, especially since the third one onwards. Tom Cruise kind of brought back the team dynamic, and it's just more interesting when you see a bunch of people working together and working out these crazy problems.
Yeah, not just one dude, because it's like, okay, you can do everything.
Yeah,
good for you.
The third one had a really good villain in Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He did, because he's the last guy you'd think.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
But you wouldn't expect him to be scary, in a bad guy kind of way.
Really?
Like cold-blooded, no hesitation.
I could see that from the very beginning.
Okay, fine.
Well, maybe not in a fist fight, because it's
no, not a fist fight, but
he looks like the Penguin.
A war of minds.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. He was so cerebral as a villain.
Yeah.
And it was so effective. This guy is fucking scary. He won't hesitate to nuke a country or something.
Absolutely.
Well, I didn't see that part for that certain
I gotta
series.
show you, just
remember.
the cold open of that movie. It's just amazing because it totally let you know that this is not the shit show of 2. Just that cold open, it was just insane.
All right.
And 2 had all the tacky wire work.
That was so bad because John Woo didn't have enough English to say no at the time.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's true because he just got to Hollywood. He'd only done what? He did Face Off, which was fucking amazing, and he did that Van Damme movie Hard Target, which was kind of
Yeah. But anyway, going back to 3.
Okay, going back to 3, J.J. Abrams, the guy who created Lost and directed Star Wars The Force Awakens and Super 8, he brought back the whole team dynamic and it was fun. So, the last few movies have really been about the ensemble. Sure, Tom Cruise still has a big stunt, but basically everybody has a role to play. And so I had high hopes going into this one.
Yeah.
And not only that, in addition to the roles that they would play, it's the banter, it's the script,
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
characters. That's
The
why
chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut to the chase. It's why I was pretty disappointed with this one. It's because of the banter that he had with Simon Pegg's character, Benji.
Yep.
Benji. Like I love the banter with Benji, and then of course I miss Jeremy Renner in this one because Jeremy Renner was one of my favorite new characters that they added into the franchise.
That's the funny thing. Like they brought him in as the tech guy in part 3. He was just a side character, but apparently he got along so well with Tom Cruise, he added him to the permanent cast.
Yeah, he's also another short action guy.
But there's only like one other permanent cast member. That's Ving Rhames, who I honestly don't think does anything else nowadays except Mission Impossible movies every couple of years.
Well, since the last one I remember was MI2, for someone who didn't stand by the franchise religiously, I wanted to see if this one, 7 or Dead Reckoning Part 1, could stand on its own. So that was the criteria I had coming into this movie.
Well, something else they introduced in 3 was they tried to make him more human because part 2 just made him a fucking superhero and it was dumb. And part 3 introduced a wife. And she was around on and off for the last 4 movies, basically, until the last one, where 2 movies ago, he faked his death so she wouldn't have to worry about him anymore because part 3 had her discovering his secret, that he was actually a spy. And in the last movie, a couple of movies ago, he faked his death so she wouldn't be a target anymore and she wouldn't be worried for him or whatever. But in Fallout, she actually got caught in the crossfire a little bit, so she saw him in action and all that, but she's already basically moved on. And she basically told him, it's okay, I know this is your life. And that basically set him up so he could be free to pursue Rebecca Ferguson, who was by far a superior character. She's actually, I think she's the best character in the whole damn series.
Yeah.
She's my favorite.
Well, for this movie, she was my favorite.
No. You have...
Okay, sorry, no.
No. We agree with you. She's amazing. She's amazing.
But
I know. I'm sorry I haven't seen it, okay?
We just have to reiterate the fact that you have to see her introduction as a character.
It is just, it's freaking iconic, her intro. It's like one of the great intros. Because they do it like with no dialogue whatsoever.
Who the fuck holds a sniper rifle in a freaking long gown with her leg up as the support?
And in like true spy movie fashion, the sniper rifle was a flute that she walked into because there's like an orchestra and there's like an opera. It's just, the staging is just incredible. Because again, there's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just the opera that's going. And she's got to fire a bullet on a certain note so that nobody will hear it.
Ooh.
So it's just fantastic.
Wait, which one is this one?
That is Rogue Nation, the 5th one.
5th, okay.
Yeah.
I will at least watch that one after this. But, after this, I'm not that inspired.
No, well, if only to see how good it used to be. How's that?
All right, fine.
And even Fallout, just to see Henry Cavill do this. Like load up.
That is
Henry
awesome.
Cavill's in Fallout?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I missed so much then.
that became like a huge meme that year because there's one bit, like in the middle of a fight, he does this. And it's basically he reloads his arms.
I'm so glad we have video now.
He reloads his freaking arms like they're guns or something.
And every time they would do press for this movie, people would ask him to do it.
And he was like, only did that like as a gag in between takes. And the director's like, do that. So he could never escape it. So like that was the year, or like a year after, he had his horrible CGI mustache in Justice League.
It was the reason why they had the CGI mustache and the reshoots.
Right, because he had a mustache in Mission Impossible.
He was under contract. He couldn't shave it off.
Because there was parts where he was hanging out of a helicopter. They said like a fake mustache will fly off. You cannot shave your fucking mustache.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. Ever since the 5th movie, basically, the first 4 were directed by different people. So each one had a different flavor. So the first one was Brian De Palma. It was a paranoia thriller. That was great. Second one was John Woo, but not so great.
It was the early 2000s era of wire work and kung fu.
And gun fu.
The
third one was like a really good episode of Alias, because that's what J.J. Abrams was doing at the time.
And Light Leaks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Of course.
The fourth one was by Brad Bird, who directed The Incredibles. So the pacing and the plot and payoff, everything's fantastic because he comes from an animation background, so you can't waste a second.
Paula Patton was pretty good there.
She was fantastic. I always wonder why she didn't come back. The fifth one onwards, up until this one and the next one, he was working with his Jack Reacher director, Christopher McQuarrie. And ever since then, they've been going by the philosophy of let's come up with the action sequences and then just add a plot after to stitch everything together.
The Jack Reacher movies was basically Mission Impossible
without the gadgets.
Without the gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But apparently he really likes working with Christopher McQuarrie. Like he even co-produced Top Gun and helped write the script.
Well, maybe it's because he found a yes man.
Well, I don't know if it's so much a yes man. I didn't feel it was a yes man until this movie, actually. Where like John Woo, he just couldn't find the words to say no anymore. So...
It was a language barrier for John Woo. This guy just said yes.
What's this guy's excuse?
What's this guy's excuse?
I don't know. I think he likes hanging out with Tom Cruise.
I mean, who wouldn't?
I don't know, Anjo.
I don't know, actually.
I don't know, Anjo. Tell us, what do you think about Tom Cruise?
I don't know. Maybe he would berate me for not being a Scientologist. I don't know.
Ooh,
just keep him off couches. He'll be fine, I guess.
That's true.
To be fair, that's why they brought in Jeremy Renner for part 4. Because he'd done the couch jumping. So they're like, we need a plan B. So if we got to get rid of him for part 5, we have Jeremy Renner because he's kind of a hot thing right now. But part 4 became more like the highest grossing one of the bunch. So all was forgiven. He didn't jump on any more couches and they got to make more movies.
But he's still a Scientologist,
He's
right?
still a Scientologist, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you tell us what you were thinking first coming out of the cinema, Mai? Because again, you were the freshest one of all of us basically going into this.
Also by age. Sorry, anyway.
Fucking A!
No, sorry, I'm just 25 pala. I forgot.
Right, in his dreams.
I'm still younger than Misha.
Fuck.
I wasn't in the 6th grade when the first one came out.
Shut up.
I love you.
I was infuriated. To be quite honest, I was so infuriated because so many things happened along the way where I was like, this is stupid. This is so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
This character's so stupid. Why the fuck did that happen? You know, so many questions which were mostly not very good questions. It's like, how do I put it nicely? Do I even put
I don't
it
think
nicely?
you need to.
I hated it! And it's not even because I don't understand what's going on. It's kind of easy to put together the group dynamic. Okay, here's the tech guy. Benji's like the funny guy.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Tom Cruise is like the head honcho, whatever. He's the cool guy doing all the
team
stunts.
leader.
Yeah, whatever. But like, it's so easy to put together. But their goal for this, I don't. And okay, they tried to be like, oh, this is the future. We're fighting artificial intelligence. And they try to explain artificial intelligence and the danger of it taking over so many times as if we don't know what artificial intelligence is at this point in 2023.
It's like people forgot that there were movies like Terminator.
Well,
Space Odyssey.
Okay, here's the thing. It only became like super timely now, but the movie's been delayed by like, what, 2-3 years at this point.
But at that point, we're all still already exploring artificial intelligence.
Basically, every movie with AI has told us that AI is going to kill us all at some point.
It's been delayed because Tom Cruise hasn't jumped enough from cliffs.
It got delayed because of the global pandemic.
I know, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He was looking for the perfect cliff to jump off of.
Yeah.
Well, he found it, I guess. How about you, Anjo? Because, again, you've seen all these. What's your take?
I was disappointed.
Oh, damn.
I mean, like, every single Mission Impossible movie will always have its signature heist, where every single team member will have a role to play.
Yeah.
And each of them will end up like, something happens that fucks up the whole plan and everybody will have their time to shine.
And the fun part is how they solve it with their wits. They adapt. They change the plan.
With each of their individual skills.
Yes.
Which was totally missing from this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And that was one of the biggest disappointments I had, coming from the last 4 movies that I've seen recently. And then it probably had the weakest villain.
I think I agree. Yeah.
with a guy named Gabriel,
Yep.
who is, Veronica Lodge's dad.
That was so weird.
So I was like,
That was so weird, yes.
So the whole time I was trying to figure out, who's this guy again? Like, oh shit, it's Veronica Lodge's dad. It's Mr. Lodge.
Yes.
Wait, so they introduced a flashback with this guy. So he's related. It's to Tom Cruise's past somehow.
Yeah,
Somehow.
And
Prior to the first
No. You know what? That's what pissed me off.
Because, okay, here's a question
Okay,
before you
please
get to
explain that to me.
Before you get to your point, I want to ask you a question. Because in my head, when I saw the flashbacks, I was like, this looks like the first movie. So my question to you is, was it supposed to be a scene in the first movie?
No, it wasn't. Because it was actually, they said it was like 30 years ago. So it comes before before the first movie. But what I didn't appreciate about it was, okay, we've gone 7 movies in 27 years. Now is the time you choose to give him a tragic backstory? Now you're going to say he's had an enemy this whole time that we never knew about? That he's got this mysterious motivation that we never knew about?
So I'm also wondering why that one death changed his career.
Well, here's the thing. This movie doesn't bother to tell us because there's still a part 2. So they're probably saving it. And that's something that was my biggest issue. The pacing in this movie is way off. I think it was like half an hour longer than it had to be because at some point they were just dragging things out because they were like, okay, we got a second movie anyway. We don't need to, we don't need to rush.
The pacing was so slow.
Yeah, it's a lot of people staring at each other.
At Dutch angles. Like,
that's one more thing.
Oh my God.
The Dutch angles and the close-ups were so unforgiving. It's like nothing... You don't even see people's shoulders. It's literally just their faces.
Okay.
At one point, Mai whispered, just like, grab it. Is it the screen or is it the close-ups? Are we too close? No,
I think we had good seats. We had good seats. But
Thank you, by the way, to Paramount Pictures.
Thank you,
Paramount, for inviting us to
you
the
guys
premiere.
are awesome. Thank you so much. But going back to that, I think that was a reference to the first movie because Brian De Palma, the guy who made Scarface and Dress to Kill, his signature was always paranoia thrillers, psychological thrillers. And in really tense moments in the first one, he would do that. He would go in really tight. He would go in at the Dutch angles, especially when it involved Tom Cruise talking to his boss, Kittredge, the director of the CIA, who comes back for the first time in this movie. And a lot of what I saw between the two of them was just trying to rehash or remind you of their conversation in the first one. Especially like the first thing he says to Tom Cruise is, I understand you're very upset.
Oh, there you go.
And it's like, come on, we don't need the Easter eggs. We already know you're from the first movie.
I don't. But
she didn't.
Well, yeah, but
it's not something that's absolutely necessary for me to know, right?
No, it's not. It's really not. It's just like, oh, he's back.
Yeah, I just put 2 and 2 together. Like, okay, he's the boss. Whatever.
You said it's supposed to be a nod to what De Palma was doing.
But
the whole movie.
But they kept doing it over and over in this one. And whenever they would have their dramatic dialogue, it felt like rejected Wachowski script. They were talking about like destiny and free will and choice and tell me a story. And I'm like, what the hell is this philosophizing?
That was what this movie was. It was not a lot of showing. It was a lot of telling.
It absolutely was. Because, I mean, let's go into the story, right? It's got a rogue AI that can only be controlled or destroyed with a key, a physical key. So now every government in the world is after this key.
Fancy key, by the way.
It's a fancy key, yeah. I mean,
it's got 2 parts.
It does have 2 parts.
I would want a key to my house that looked like that with a shape, and the doors to my house would look like the Hobbit's door.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
So basically, Ethan Hunt and the IMF have to go rogue for like the 8 millionth time in this series because they got to get the key because no government on Earth can be trusted with the AI. And in the meantime, the AI was smart enough to hire a mysterious bad guy from Ethan's past to try and beat him at his own game and make sure he doesn't get the key. And I don't know.
The bad guy from Riverdale?
The bad guy from Riverdale. That's true. And they basically just fucking over-explained it over and over and over again.
Act 1, we know what the story is about. Act 2, they remind us. Act 3... That's overindulgent.
And then at some point, Tom Cruise starts talking like Dom in The Fast and the Furious about how all your lives are more important to me than my own. I'm like, you just met her 10 minutes ago.
I can't understand. I feel like in this movie, all the characters, even Ethan Hunt's, were all dumbed down.
Yeah, they all like took a step back from where they were.
And they're supposed to be the best of the best. It's why they've survived so long.
Which goes back to what you were saying earlier about like how the fun thing about their heists and all their plans getting fucked up was how they thought their way around the obstacles. Here, they got around the obstacles through dumb luck half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And analog technology.
Yeah, because, they can't use the digital shit because the master AI villain thing can,
it was kind of
interrupt.
Weird. It was kind of weird because they already knew it was AI and it could track their movements, yet they were still using facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they found out it was the AI they were dealing with. That's kind of stupid considering how smart these people are supposed to be, especially if you have Ving Rhames' character and Simon Pegg's character, Benji.
Mm-hmm.
And Luther.
And Luther. There you go, Luther.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was it me who hasn't seen the series? Really? I was kidding.
Yeah. No, that's just how disappointed I was.
Well, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also was disappointed because like even what you would think would be the highlights, like the big stunt sequences, there's this big chase that takes place in Rome and he steals like a Lupin the Third car.
And he rides a fucking Fiat.
Okay, fine. He doesn't steal it. It's like one of their safe cars, whatever. That the IMF apparently just leaves parked all over the world.
He rode Luigi from Cars.
He rode Luigi from Cars.
Stop.
But basically,
that's Guido.
Basically, they're like they're in this tiny car and they're being chased down the Spanish Steps in Rome by the cops, by Gabriel, by Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy, who is like a Harley Quinn knockoff wearing the Greatest Showman's jacket in this movie.
In one scene.
In one scene.
In one sequence. We'll get to that later. I have a bone to pick with that.
But to be
I
fair,
also do. But
we all do.
But my thing is like,
fair, I enjoyed her.
They did, but I felt nothing during this chase. I was not. They didn't really do anything like groundbreaking or whatever because they couldn't decide what direction to take. Is it funny? Is it serious? It was just confusing because in the last movie, they had this incredible chase in Paris. Pretty much the same thing. Cops are chasing, the bad guys are chasing. Tom Cruise is on a motorcycle at some point.
No, I like the chase in Dubai. Or in Abu Dhabi.
That was good too.
That was a great chase.
Mm-hmm. And this one, it just felt like nothing we hadn't seen before. It was just trying to be cutesy by way of Jason Bourne with a little bit of Lupin the Third.
With a little bit of, oh no, I can't drive. Haley Atwell being, oh no, I don't want to drive, you drive.
Can we talk about that?
Haley Atwell's character is the biggest waste ever.
Yeah, we can get to the characters in a little bit, but we can continue with this, the treatment of this car chase.
I felt nothing. And the weird thing is, like, it's actually got like a couple of James Bond references, like a tiny yellow car from For Your Eyes Only, handcuffed to the lead girl, the lead actress from Tomorrow Never Dies with Michelle Yeoh. Those are all fun things. And this one, I did not feel fun because like they couldn't decide whether she was competent or not.
Yeah.
And they couldn't decide if Ethan was like if he was like if he was competent or not half the time in that scene.
The only thing I enjoyed about that entire scene was Palm Clemente or Mantis, or her character's name is Paris.
Yes.
It's just her just going through shit and not giving a care. She's like bulldozing through everything with her big ass truck, and she's manic and she's enjoying, and she looked like she was just having so much fun breaking shit up.
That I enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that too.
But that's pretty much it about that.
I feel like a lot of the stunt work was wasted because of how, like in context of the whole thing.
No, like the stunt would be good, but then they'd play it for a laugh. That didn't really fit,
Yeah, exactly. The stunts were great. I mean, don't get us wrong. It's a Mission Impossible movie. How can the stunts not be great?
That's true, but the stunt could be the greatest thing in the world. But if you don't care about what's happening,
but if it's not grounded with the story, or as grounded as the story is, like in the past few movies, then it doesn't really work that well.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been better.
And there were some beats that would just last forever. Like when the thing was going in a non-stop circle around that.
Oh yeah, they were trying to be funny. Like, we're going to chase you at this side.
I can't drive properly.
Like it was funny for like 10 seconds and then it just ran for about 20 seconds more.
my friend Han, who was also at the premiere, she pointed out,
Hi, Han.
She pointed out that, like, did she lose all her competence in that first car crash? Because after that point, Grace was useless. Haley Atwell's character was introduced as this badass, independent thief.
Yeah, okay. We're at the characters now.
This is
okay,
why.
this is.
Sorry.
Let's get to
I'm
it.
sorry.
No. Let's get to it.
Okay,
we're
yeah.
into it.
So she's a badass thief, like, who can beat Ethan in his own game, which is really cool because, you know, they can go like on the same level. She's not as badass as Grace, but what she does is a little more subtle. You know, and she's not as badass as Isla Faust, who is played by
Rebecca Ferguson.
But, you know, she's got style. She's got flair. She's not the nanny.
She's got spunk.
It's Ilsa.
It's Ilsa. So, Ilsa.
You want to build a snowman?
Oh my God.
No, Ilsa with an I.
Ilsa with an I.
Yeah.
But, you know, Haley Atwell's character was introduced as this badass thief who can pick a pocket cleaner than anybody. She can even pick Ethan Hunt's pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And she can pick handcuffs. And at some point,
Even the banter was great.
the banter was good. The initial banter was good.
The meet cute.
But then after they start getting chased by the cops in Rome and they get into one car crash, she loses all competence.
Maybe it was never confirmed in the movie, but she was operating with a concussion. Probably.
Maybe, but
Don't make excuses for the screenplay.
Maybe the writers had a concussion. Ooh, sorry, not sorry.
I earlier said I was infuriated, and I think she's the biggest source of my rage in this entire movie because you know, as shit happens, right? Okay, so many interruptions, so many twists and turns that happen along the way. But there were so many chances for her character to walk away when she knew that shit was about to hit the fan. And she's seeing Tom Cruise and everybody's like, oh, okay, I'm getting myself tangled in this very complicated web that I find myself in. She had so many chances to be like, okay, fuck this, whatever. I'll just give you the key. I can just get out of your hair. But no. And she stayed out of her own volition. And when shit did hit the fan, she'd be so fucking useless and not own up to that decision of staying.
Jesus
And
Christ.
she just like want to chicken out in the middle of things. Like, come on.
Yeah,
You're
that was
absolutely right.
That's how you ruin a good character.
Yeah.
And I think what frustrated me even more was she did it because of the power of love. Like, out of fucking nowhere, she just falls in love with Tom Cruise because he makes one speech to her about how your life is more important to me than my own. I'm like, what the actual shit? Like, later on when he rescues her, because of course she becomes a damsel in distress for no fucking reason.
I know.
She spends more time looking at him lovingly than trying to escape their life and death situation.
You know, I think she's the first damsel in distress aside from the wife.
No. She is... Okay, here's the funny part. She is the second thief to spontaneously fall in love with him and turn against her employee and look at him with tears in her eyes when he finally fucking rescues her.
Remind me again who the first one was?
Fandy Newton in MI2.
That's
another reason that movie sucks.
That's why I didn't like that movie.
That's another reason that movie sucks. Because again, independent, strong, international thief. You know, she goes like sports car racing in the mountains with Ethan Hunt. But 40 minutes later, save me.
But you know,
Christ.
Grace had a better introduction.
Grace had a better introduction because, you know, she fucking picked Ethan's pocket.
Yep.
Well,
and she wasn't sorry about it.
I guess that's an instant no-no for this franchise, at least. Do not put a thief, do not put a woman thief into the movie and make her fall in love with him, else this will suck.
Yeah, well.
Well, the other thing that really, you know, like triggered me with this movie is that they killed our favorite character.
The best character.
The best character in the franchise.
Yeah.
They killed off Ilsa.
They killed off
Rebecca Ferguson.
Who is in every way a female Ethan Hunt.
No, she's better than Ethan.
Except that she's better because she has no qualms about killing. She's there to get the job done.
Yeah, she's not gonna make a speech about how all of you are important to me. She just gets shit done.
It's like, I need to save the world. I'll kill whoever gets in my way.
She didn't have to make a speech. She just saved Tom Cruise's ass in Rome in this movie. She just shows up, and she didn't need to make some heartfelt speech with an overdub to do it.
Oh my God, the overdubs! Wait! Okay, there were so many moments where I was like, I'm looking at the screen and I hear a dialogue, but the characters' lips, they're not moving.
Or they don't match.
Or they don't match.
Like, what the shit?
And it's not just once. At first, I thought it was a fluke. I was like, maybe it's just me. I don't know. I've had a long day. But then I see more instances of that happening. And it's like, it's not just me. These are really bad dubbing jobs.
You know what? I didn't notice that because of the close-ups. I was like, my eyes are just...
No. You know what? This was like a stupider version of Quantum Mania, where everything was on a green screen and you knew they had to assemble it in post.
This
is the same thing. They had to assemble the story of this one in post. That's what it looked like.
That's such a low bar.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, fine. We can blame the pandemic. Maybe they didn't have time to shoot pickups or B-roll or whatever.
But there were times that it was so unnecessary. I remember one instance in the airport where, Ethan Hunt drags Grace along and I thought, okay, come with me. And then her line was, this is going to be fun. Or something like that. Her mouth did not move. But that line was not even essential. It's like, okay, fine. It's a quip. It's a nice quip about what her character says about her character.
She's a thrill seeker.
But I was like, her lips didn't move.
No.
She just gave this really small smile. And it's like, can you even see those words with that small of a smile? It's like, I'm going to try.
You never...
This is going to be, It's supposed to sound like that.
You never know. Maybe, part of her being a thief is that she had to pretend to be a ventriloquist.
Oh, wow.
Stop making excuses for the filmmakers.
Remember when Ethan Hunt had the dossier on her in his shades? Oh, high tech. Anyway,
AR.
AR,
His Google Glass.
Exactly.
Google Glass.
You didn't notice that little thing that said ventriloquist?
No, you're just making that up.
Just kidding.
You're just making that up.
The overdub's really bad.
Yeah, it was really bad. So I really okay, fine. Macquarie and Cruise, they assemble these things based on the stunts and then they put in the story later. But this is the first time I actually felt it. Because you can see where they stuck the parts together and it doesn't really hold up the way it used to.
Yeah, not even, not even straight back running had to fix it.
No. Here's the thing. Other than part 2, I have never had to Fast and Furious a Mission Impossible movie where you had to shut your brain off. Otherwise, it'll...
Well, that's because that's the fun part of Fast and Furious because you can shut your brain off and still enjoy it.
Right.
But this is not a series where you expect to shut your brain off.
Exactly. These were always fun, but they were never stupid.
Yeah.
So technically, they were I don't want to say thinking man, but yeah, fine. They were thinking man's action movies a little bit.
I wouldn't say thinking man, but the twists were there. This one was just so predictable in so many ways.
I saw Ilsa's death a mile away.
It was so bad because Gabriel at one point says, you know what, Ethan, one of your women will have to die because once again,
that was so annoying.
You have failed to protect another woman. And he's trying to get in the girls' heads. He's saying don't believe him if he says he can protect you because he tells that to everyone. I'm like, oh, when did he ever say that to anyone? And when did somebody die on his watch? I mean, they were trying to make him out to be somebody that they'd never set up before. So they made him I love all of you more than I love myself. I have a tragic backstory that I never talked about. I've been hunting for this man my entire life, but I never mentioned it to anybody at any time. And Ving Rhames does that thing again where, I'm his best friend, but, we never actually see anything on screen to justify that.
No.
And Simon Pegg is all no, nothing's more important to me than my friends. I'm like, where's all this crappy character fake development coming from?
It's haha, we're friends.
We're friends.
We're best friends.
I mean, we get it. We've seen them together in so many movies, but they just didn't need to repeat it all the fucking time.
Yeah, if you're friends, fucking show us. Don't tell us.
Yeah. Okay.
I miss good Simon Pegg. I miss good Benji.
I miss good Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, Ilsa, yes, you will be missed.
Very.
When
I didn't even have the past experiences how you were so raving about how cool of a character she had in the previous movies.
Yep.
But instantly, I knew that, okay, she's going to be my favorite. She's super cool. She knows what she's doing.
Even when she gets introduced in this movie.
Yeah, she's a badass with a fucking sniper rifle.
Kind of like how you play Call of Duty.
How do you
Yes, Anjo said that. Anjo said that during the movie.
I had to whisper. It's like, parang kayo ni Pash.
For context, Anjo's wife and Mai are our resident snipers when we play Call of Duty, and they're scary. I'm gonna say it. They're scary.
What was the longest kill streak you had? At one point we were playing together. I think you had like 14 or something.
Like 17. Like what the actual hell?
Yeah, there was one game like where Pash and Mai were like, like double digits in kills.
If anyone from this podcast turns out to be a mass murderer, it's not gonna be you and me.
Yeah, it's my. It's just pretty funny.
It is.
At one point we were just screaming, "Hoy! Magtira naman kayo sa amin."
But
no, I really love these characters who are independent, can think for themselves. Of course, I'm a sucker for strong female characters who can, do their shit.
But that's why we loved her, because it showed, I'm going to say, it showed that Tom Cruise is mature enough to share the spotlight the last few movies. And then this one, we're back in MI2 territory where he's the only one who can be good at anything. And I was like, what the actual hell?
Yeah, so they can find, she's competent, let's kill her off. Fuck.
The one thing I liked about her is that it gave Ethan Hunt a character to relate to, who he didn't actually have to worry about.
That's why it worked when they got rid of the wife, because he got along so much better with Ilsa, because she knew what his job was like. He knew what she was like. They were on the same page.
Yeah, and she was probably better than him.
I have a question. From the previous movies, was there ever a love angle between the two?
None, but
not
there was
particularly. There was tension, and it was well done tension.
Yeah, so that's something I also appreciated. Well, they had some moments together. Okay, I bet this could be interpreted as something between old friends, but I did appreciate that she wasn't all like puppy dog eyes.
I agree.
Just not like Haley Atwell's character, who was just like,
oh my god, yes.
The thing about the whole relationship between Ilsa and Tom Cruise was because you were never really sure if they were going to be playing on the same side or not.
Right. She was like a double, triple agent, whatever. She was with the bad guy at some point.
Yeah.
So which played so well.
It kept it interesting. That's where the tension came from.
Exactly. And it was never like blatant. Like even in this movie, it just seemed cheesy. And how he first met her, and they had those notes about like a romantic thing going on between the two of them. I was like,
but no, I'm with Maya on this one. I was okay. I liked his interactions with Ilsa because there was that familiarity.
Yeah, there's that. You know that they've been friends for so long, but that was something they didn't need to verbalize because their chemistry was just that strong that they didn't need the words to say that. You're my old friend. You're one of my oldest friends. You're my match. You know, that kind of thing.
He didn't have to spell it out like fucking Benji and Luther.
Yeah. So you really saw that right off the bat with how they...
There was
really
more chemistry between them in that quiet scene in Venice on that balcony than anything that came out of Ving Rhames' mouth.
Right after she said like, it's my first time in Venice.
And he's like, me too. And then they laughed. Because that was the moment.
Yeah.
And it said everything.
But I find that so hard to believe. You're international super spy.
Well, that's
first time
true.
in Venice. That's a fucking lie.
But, and even if you take away the friendship, the romantic angle, part of the reason their relationship worked was because they have that professional courtesy.
Yeah.
Like, he knew she was a badass the second he caught her trying to pull off a hit. And she knew he was a badass because he got them out of that first hit that he stopped. But in this movie, she only exists to give him emotional motivation, which I fucking hate. That's such a cheap use of a female character, and in comic books we call that
fridging. Yeah,
because there was an issue of Green Lantern where the Green Lantern comes home and he finds his girlfriend has been brutally murdered
and stuffed in the fridge
in pieces.
It's a term.
It's a derogatory term for reducing a female character to a male character's motivation.
Yes,
it's cheap.
So like almost every character in Bullet Train.
Yes.
I mean, I love that movie, but you gotta admit, a lot of characters in that was like, revenge for my wife!
Well. No. Fridging is more like, they get you invested in the character just to kill them off.
Yep.
So it's cheap. It's manipulative, right?
Yeah.
So parang, why'd you bother introducing this character if she had no function other than to die?
Here's the thing. Bullet Train seemed more like a parody of sorts.
Well, it's about
And it
that.
didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
exactly.
Okay.
So
It was just funny how most of them had that motivation.
Yeah, it was.
That's true.
So,
Anyway.
again, parody. But then you don't expect something like this from Mission Impossible. You'd expect something a little bit more sophisticated. Ika nga ni Misha, thinking man's action movie.
Fine. Let's go. Fine. Maybe a little. Okay, fine. It's not entirely. It's not like Thinking Man, like on a Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan kind of level. But it's not like Fast and the Furious. It's like a little bit higher than James Bond, I think. With regard to like, it's like slightly less tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But it's still something. But it's still something you could kind of take seriously. But in this one seemed like borderline parody. Like
borderline?
Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise is now at the point in this movie where he's like Steven Seagal's direct-to-video crap that Steven Seagal also writes. No. I'm not saying in the quality of the movie. I'm just saying in the characterization.
Yeah.
Because in Steven Seagal movies, the direct-to-video crap, everybody just spends like half the runtime talking about how great Steven Seagal's character is. And that's exactly what was happening in this movie. The bad guys were saying it. The CIA guys chasing him were saying it. His friends were saying it. And, Grace just fucking falls in love with him for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And Ilsa, like, she practically dies for him with a smile on her face because he's so great.
I hate that.
Fridged.
And even...
I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Let's get to Mantis.
Oh, okay.
She also falls in love with him.
Does she?
Kinda. She respects him so much.
Yeah, there's this amount of gratitude that you don't know where it came from. Fine, sure, he spares her life. But then, is that enough to go through the falling train to save this guy's life while you're bleeding out?
I know where it came from. Because the AI predicted it.
And can I just say something I've liked about this movie, like about this series, basically, is that especially with the Christopher McQuarrie ones, is the action has always been so well shot and so clean, and you always knew where everything was. They didn't really cheat a lot, but the fight that he has with Paris takes place in a narrow alleyway.
That would have been cool, but it just wasn't.
But there's so many cuts there. And he's surrounded on both sides. There's no way a 61-year-old man should have gotten out of that alley alive.
I mean,
he's Tom Cruise.
He's Tom Cruise. He's a vampire. He spends millions.
He's a vampire. Well, he was a vampire.
He was a vampire. But, like...
Yeah, he should have been interviewed.
Aren't there... Aren't there articles saying that Tom Cruise spends millions, like Kobe-like amounts of money on health?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I mean, you see it.
You got to be in shape to jump off of everything you see.
I wonder what his insurance premium looks like.
I don't know if anyone will still give him insurance at this point.
I mean, this is a guy who does like Halo jumps, right?
That's true.
Oh, God.
Wait, no, go ahead.
Oh, no. Going back to Pom Clemente or Paris.
Paris the Mantis.
Oh.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Okay, so after Maverick spares Mantis's life.
Yeah. So thanks. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, that's funny because they also lost the train. Oh, can I just say that train gag, like every single car falling off and then them, going through each train was just like it ran for so long.
Well, Misha and I were reminded of a video game.
Yeah, it was like the opening of Uncharted 2.
I tried to whisper it to him during the thing because it was just so long. I was like, and then he couldn't hear me. I was like, oh, never, later na lang.
All right, but yeah, okay, going back to Paris. She was cool. I really loved her intros where she was chasing them, like again in her big ass truck, bulldozing through the city, looking like she's enjoying every single minute of it.
That was cool.
But I mean, yeah. Was the clown makeup really necessary for that one sequence?
Yes.
Why?
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's giving. Use the Asian person as a caricature.
No, it looked like from Super Spies to just basically caricatures.
Yeah, so it's like
I mean, you would expect that in a James Bond movie.
Well, to some point, but I was getting more of a, and I'm sorry, I got more of a Fast and the Furious vibe because they also had a crazy ass chase scene in Rome. But at least that one, you knew you were in for stupidity.
Yeah. This is just, yeah.
You know, we were making fun of it. We were making fun of the poster before watching. It's like, oh look, it's Mantis who stole Hugh Jackman's jacket from
The Greatest Showman. Maybe she got it. Maybe she got it from Rebecca Ferguson. She was in The Greatest Showman.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, it felt very caricature-ish. And it wasn't, I don't understand why. Maybe if it's like really part of her character where, you know, it's her quirk. So you should have that in every scene and maybe explain it. But only for that party. But then you feature it so much on the poster too.
Yep.
So like there's something that's not connecting here. Like why?
It would have been fine if the party was themed and you had other characters.
Well, the party
what
was
would the theme be? Juggaloo?
I don't know.
The party was kind of themed. You like could see people wearing masks and everything. But she, out of everyone in the main characters, she was the only one with the makeup on. Everybody else was just in like in a suit or whatever. But she's the only one with the makeup on.
Haley Atwell looked like Jack Sparrow. She looked like a pirate.
Yeah, but she stood out in not a good way, like a sore thumb. Like you don't understand why.
Yeah.
Home commentation in this movie. She's like, I am so tired of the stereotype of the Asian woman as a stone cold ice bitch. Because like, how many times have we seen these, you know, in a nutshell, like if you had to have a peg, basically Lucy Liu in every other movie, where, you know, no expression, I'm going to kill you with no remorse whatsoever. And the few moments where Paris got to show some emotion during the chase scene, that was cool because it was something different. But the rest of the time, she was just your standard issue Asian female ice bitch assassin, except for the end where she turns to the side of right and virtue because she so respects the great Ethan Hunt.
Because he spared her life.
Like, Jesus Christ. Everybody in this fucking movie worships him. Everybody. Especially the people who want to kill him.
Even the AI.
Okay, so AI is the bad guy. Hollywood's on strike now.
I hate that. I hate the sound they use for the AI.
What's the sound again? Do it.
Like some bad
dubstep,
whatever.
You sound like a fucking MRI. Yeah, so Tom Cruise is fighting the soundtrack of an MRI. And,
it's like Skrillex did the whole thing.
I was about to say Skrillex too.
Oh my God, Skrillex. Is he still a thing?
I would watch a movie of Tom Cruise versus Skrillex.
Oh.
Except for the third act twist where Skrillex falls in love with Tom Cruise.
And just dies.
Okay, something that these movies have always been marketed on is the big stunts.
Yes.
And the big stunt here was Tom Cruise driving a motorcycle off the side of a cliff and letting go of the bike and parachuting the rest of the way. Now, a lot has been made in the marketing of this movie about how it was done for real. They built like a huge ramp off the side of a mountain.
That was amazing.
It was amazing.
Didn't they have to fly?
Yeah,
the materials,
everything had to be flown up to that mountain. The crew, the cast, the materials, the ramp, everything. And Tom Cruise jumped off that thing way too many times. And for the final shooting, they used a drone. They used he killed many bikes, and apparently he got it like on the 7th take, basically. So it's a really cool
He did
stunt.
that for 7 fucking times.
I know. I felt so bad for the director. The director wanted to cry. He's like, stop, please.
I was one of the producers, and I lose my big star. Be like, oh my God.
You lose fucking Tom Cruise.
You lose the fucking franchise.
That'll be on your resume forever. Oh, you're the guy who made that movie that killed Tom Cruise.
You were the one who said yes to Tom Cruise too many times.
So I like that more in the behind the scenes stuff that I saw than in the actual movie, because in the movie they cover up the ramp.
It was such a bad render. I was like, oh, there's the ramp.
Yeah, in the ramp they cover it up with the CGI rock face that he's riding a bike off of. And I'm like, you know what? If they just left the ramp there, I wouldn't have cared. Honestly, just say that somebody left a ramp there. I don't care. But it would look cooler.
Well, the movie before that has been that stupid anyway, so you won't be surprised. Look, a ramp. Okay.
But that's a weird thing that I've been seeing in these movies. They always hype it on the big stunts, but like if you look at the last one, Fallout, They made a big point of him learning how to halo jump, high altitude, low opening. That's like where you jump out at a crazy high height and you only open your parachute like you're like close to the ground already. Yeah. It's really hella dangerous. And they made a big deal that he did that for real over and over again to get the shot.
Jesus, this guy is addicted to adrenaline.
But when you watch the movie, they CGI a lightning storm over it, so you can't tell anyway. He could have done it on a green screen. You wouldn't have known the difference. I'm like, what the fuck? And in this movie, they did it again with a CGI mountain cliff face covering up the real ramp that they built. Mm-hmm. And that was something he did even in, I want to say, Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol, where he held his breath for 6 minutes. He learned to do it. He trained to hold his breath for 6 minutes because he was trying to...
that was Rogue.
Oh, okay, so he was trying to steal like this computer thing that had to be kept underwater because it overheats or whatever. So he has learned to hold his breath so he can get the shot. And they don't cut away. But they CGI'd the whole background. So again, he could have been on a green screen. He didn't need to be underwater. You wouldn't have fucking cared.
Well, he's Tom Cruise. He's just like, I can do that just because.
But if you can't tell he's doing it for real on the screen, does it really matter?
Bragging rights.
It's kind of like how they shot Les Miserables with live sound.
Yeah, it's like, just because you can do a thing doesn't mean that you should.
He's Tom Cruise.
He's Tom Cruise.
Like, Jesus Christ.
But okay, going back to that big stunt. We watched it together, the behind the scenes, and we were like, oh my God, this is fucking insane.
It looked amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what convinced us, well, me at least. Yeah. You guys, I'm sure we're going to like, we're going to watch it either way. Yeah, but me, I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. That looks cool. I want to see how it plays out. Mm-hmm. But when it did play out, because you see that in the trailer, you see it the behind the scenes. So you're just anticipating. You're sitting through this shitty movie just so you're hoping that this stunt that they've marketed for so long is worth it. Mm-hmm. But when that moment did come on screen, it didn't give us anything more.
And here's the thing though. Here's the thing that I've, now that I've processed the movie and I've come to think about it already, like all the other stunts in relation to the story were organic.
Yes.
This stunt, however, seemed forced.
Yeah.
It was super forced.
Yeah, building up to it, like Simon Pegg was like, oh, this is the shortest route to get to the train.
It was so fucking forced.
Jump off a cliff.
Yes. They kept prolonging the stunt that it kind of lost the meaning.
Yeah.
Tension in the scene was too far gone.
You know what would have been cool? If he just looked at the mountain, he looked at the train, he's like, I got an idea.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been better.
You know,
and
to the point.
You know how, and then
they could have overdubbed it.
That's true. And also in the previous movies, if you watch the stunts create tension.
They were organic. They were born of the situation.
The stunts were the ones that were creating tension.
Yes.
It was the situation they were in that was creating tension.
Yes.
No, this one, no. The tension had to lead to the stunt.
But that's what I meant when I said that Macquarie and Cruz, because they've been assembling these movies after the fact, it really shows here that they were just looking for a reason to jump off that fucking mountain.
Yeah, but Misha's proposed execution would have been cool. But then they tried to put in this banter with Benji where Benji's like, no, this is the only way. I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of pressure right now. Just do it.
Yeah, I know.
It made it hella corny.
We have to fight the AI. So hold on. Let me let AI drive my car while I find you a way to that train.
Right.
Like, fuck you, movie.
It's so stupid.
And then they undermine all the awesomeness, because admittedly the shot where he finally goes over the cliff is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But then they kill it with a slapstick ending.
I know how.
Like, oh my God.
When they show how or where it landed, it's so stupid. Like, oh, you just happened to land right where, Hilly Atwell was in trouble and then, kapow on the bad guy.
Mo naman siya ng konti.
Oh my God.
And it's not just that he breaks through the exact window that he needs to save Haley Atwell in a slapstick comedy moment. He even managed to beat up the bad guy completely by accident because of more slapstick.
Yep.
And I was like, so is he as great as everybody has been saying he is for the last 2 hours, or he just fucking lucky?
In this movie, he's just fucking lucky.
Yeah, what the shit, man?
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate Tom Cruise and his enthusiasm for, doing his own stunts. Mm-hmm. And recently, especially with, Mission Impossible, doing all this crazy shit, plus Top Gun Maverick, which I absolutely loved.
That was great. That was fantastic.
Maybe it's because we saw Maverick, which is why we're so disappointed in this one.
Kasi you have this high expectation of Tom Cruise right now.
Yes.
Especially now, like, his age and he's still doing this.
Cinema.
People say he saved cinema.
Exactly. So you have these expectations, but you really hope to God that these movies are worth it. But this one, I'm sorry, I wouldn't call him a savior for this, but I do appreciate how much effort he puts into it.
I also appreciate the effort.
It's not that we don't appreciate it, but it's just like compared to what he's done lately in the previous two, even the two previous MI movies, it's just a far cry from those products.
Well, it's just, I think we just gotta be thankful. He's gotta be thankful that he's already reached that status that, you don't question it anymore. Like, fine, even if it's a shitty movie, he'll be fine. He's still iconic. He's still Tom Cruise.
I would watch a Jerry Maguire sequel.
What the hell would he even be talking about?
I don't know. Because it's Tom Cruise.
What? He'll be negotiating with Crypto.com about naming a stadium?
I don't know. It's just I haven't seen Tom Cruise in a rom-com in so long.
Or a decent drama, to be fair. Yeah, we haven't seen him actually act in a long time.
It's all been like action movies.
Yeah.
So I would kill to watch a Jerry Maguire sequel.
Or maybe something original. That'd be cool.
But knowing what we know about why this franchise is still ongoing, so basically Tom Cruise looking for another adrenaline rush for him to experiment on film. So knowing all of that, the question is it still worth keeping this franchise alive because of Tom Cruise's adventure after this last movie?
I think if he keeps trying to make these movies, he's not going to be alive much longer.
Oh no! Gonna knock on wood.
He's already announced that he wants to shoot in space.
What?
He wants to shoot in space.
That's just reaching fast levels of...
I think he's already there with that speech he made about loyalty. He just didn't use the F word, but you were thinking it. You were thinking it.
Family.
I'm sorry.
That's what F in IMF stands for. Impossible mission family.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. All he needs to do at this point is like maybe smoke 30 packs of cigarettes so he can get that low register of Vin Diesel's voice. And then he can pull it off that F word.
I just up until this point, I never felt that he was believing his own press because he was always trying harder to make bigger, better thrills. But in this movie, it just felt like an ego trip.
Yeah.
It felt like an ego trip. And I had bad flashbacks of Mission Impossible 2 from the year freaking 2000. And I don't need to go back to that.
Bad CG plus really cheesy wirework action and green screen.
And a director who couldn't say no to
and
Tom Cruise.
And a thief damsel in distress
who falls in love with him for no fucking reason and turns against her employers.
But yeah, like this movie had the weakest villain.
Yeah. Weak villain.
They killed off the best character. I cannot forgive them for that. I have not seen her previous movies, but she was already approaching to be the best thing about it. But then they kill her off.
You don't even have to watch Fallout. Just watch
that opera scene. Yeah, watch the opera scene from Fallout.
From Rogue Nation.
Sorry, from Rogue Nation. And watch the cold open of MI3 with Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's it. It's just amazeballs.
I have a realization.
Yeah.
I didn't like this movie.
That's not a realization.
Well, no. Let me finish. You know how much I didn't like this movie?
How much?
There is no thirst portion.
Oh my God.
That is a first. Like, we've done bad movies and you've had thirst portions.
Yep.
This is a first.
That is an indicator.
Oh my God.
It had no... Well, Rebecca Ferguson, yes, as she's beautiful, but it wasn't a thirst thing. It was like, yeah, I want to be you.
Watch that first one.
Rogue Nation.
Okay.
Watch your first one. Rogue Nation.
And with that, I will have a thirst portion when I see it.
So apparently we are in the minority in this. The reviews have been... We don't want to start a war of the worlds here. So,
oh my God.
Baka war of the words.
Oh, wow.
Look at the sky. It's vanilla.
Oh.
Hi. How are you looking at the sky with your eyes wide shut?
Oh. What's that smell? Magnolias?
Dear Lord. Dear Lord.
Okay.
Let's end this interview with a vampire.
Oh, look what you did there.
Okay.
I saw it. You're like a gifted Rain Man.
Enough. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, be firm about it.
So let us know what you think about the Mission Impossible series. Let us know what your favorite is. We would really love to know. And tell us whether you agree or disagree with our thoughts on Dead Reckoning Part 1, now showing in cinemas.
And if you're part of the people who ranked it a very high rating, I think at this point it's still 97 on Rotten Tomatoes. If you are one of the people who agree, why? Please tell us.
We'd really like to know.
We just want to know.
It's not like a debate. It's just like
We're genuinely curious.
What did we like about it?
Theme song still slaps after 50 years.
I mean,
we did like Pom Clementif.
Yeah,
we did like
she had moments.
Yeah, she was cool.
We did like the introduction of Grace. Just the introduction.
I like the attempt at continuity by bringing back Kittredge. But again, that's just a little thing.
At this point in time, it's just too late for me. I miss Alec Baldwin. I miss Jeremy Renner.
Alec Baldwin died though.
Yeah,
I miss Angela Bassett as the CIA boss in the last movie. She was cool.
Was great. She was great as well.
Oh, I like Vanessa Kirby. She's cool.
Vanessa Kirby's fun. She's fun. She's actually an arms dealer who is the daughter of the arms dealer from the first movie. So, there's a little bit of continuity there.
There's a little bit of continuity, but you'd have to be like a solid MI fan too.
And something I also pointed out after, we watched this movie and we had to decompress.
I pointed it out.
Yes.
Because this is what triggered me so much with the characters. Because I felt like they were so meticulous. They're supposed to be the best in the field at what they do, right? And they miss out this one detail. Like they didn't even think to get blue contact lenses for when Grace had to disguise herself as the White Widow. When the White Widow had blue eyes and Grace had brown eyes. And then the brother of White Widow didn't even fucking notice when he's with her 24/7.
Oh, he was the brother?
Yeah, he was the bad render of Tom Hardy, yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just like her right-hand man or whatever.
Bodyguard.
That too.
Okay.
Bodyguard, right-hand man, brother.
Yeah. It was like a switch around. It was like a reveal in a couple of movies ago.
I'm not
in the last one.
I'm not around my sister all the time, but I know when her eye color changes.
Okay, here's the thing. Ever since the third and the fourth movies, the directors have had fun deconstructing the elements of the series, the gadgets, the masks, the reveals, the double crosses, and all that. So they've systematically been taking away those things, and the fun was in seeing how they worked around it.
Yeah,
to show that these were super competent agents. In this movie, I don't think that they were that smart. I don't think they were deconstructing anything. I think they just didn't think to change her eye color.
Yep. I mean, like, okay, remember that...
Like, one line of dialogue. Just say it. Like, oh, damn, we don't have the contact lenses. Okay, nobody's going to be looking at your eyes anyway. Put some shades on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
or that would even create tension.
Yeah, it would.
Because, like, remember...
But at least it would show that the filmmakers were aware of it.
Yep. Like, remember that Burj Khalifa stunt when he would climb with those magnetic gloves and then one breaks?
Exactly. That's exactly it. They were just showing that these guys are more than the sum of their gadgets. And that's what made those movies fun. How they use their fucking brains to get out of these situations.
Yep. Which is why you're better than James Bond.
Shut up.
Sorry, Misha.
Shut up.
Nah, just kidding.
But anyways.
Either way, I don't care. I was hoping maybe I'd start giving a shit about these, one male character franchises. But no.
Misha was wearing James Bond shoes.
That's true.
To the Mission Impossible premiere.
My shoes were undercover.
And that's it. That's what
you do know that James Bond works for MI6.
Shut up.
And the IMF are better.
Shut up, because they work for the CIA.
I don't care.
No, they're all disavowed.
I don't care. I'd rather watch Fast and Furious. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so
thank you, though, Paramount.
Thank you, Paramount Pictures Philippines, for inviting us. With all due apologies to Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie. We genuinely enjoy watching movies and hearing what people think. Please check us out on our social media, Sub-Auteurs Podcast. We are on TikTok, on Facebook, and we also have a group on Facebook, Sub-Auteurs We Like Movies. Please let us know, what's your favorite Mission Impossible movie? What's your favorite Tom Cruise stunt? Do you agree or disagree with our take on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? I don't know how I got through that with a straight face, but here we go.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. We are the Sub-Auteurs. I am Misha.
I'm Mai.
And I'm Manjo. And you are all disavowed.